Welcome to the Eye on Annapolis Local Business Spotlight. There are thousands of locally owned businesses in the area, some small and some large. Some you may know and others you don't. But one thing they all have in common is a great story, and we want to share it with you. Join us every Saturday as we talk to the founders, the owners, and the managers of local businesses you have come to know and love, and those you will come to know and love. Now here's your host, John Frenay, with this week's Local Business Spotlight.
First of all, I love doing these podcasts with nonprofits because I learn so much. And one thing I'm learning is that the Glen Burnie and the North County area is just this treasure trove of wonderful organizations between hospice and Hope for All. And today we're here with Dr. Robert Ireland, who is the president and CEO of Bello Machre. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did.
Okay.
Strange name, isn't it?
Okay.
It's unique.
Okay, well, it's Bello, another word, Machre.
Right, which is supposedly Gaelic for home of my heart. Bello Machre was founded back in the 60s. There were virtually no community services for people with developmental disabilities. And so it was founded by a group of parents who got together and said, what's going to happen to our kids when we're no longer here? And they hold raffles and bake sales and got state money and county money. And they had a naming contest, and a lady who, a local professional in Anne Arundel County, who had Scottish or Irish heritage, but somehow she knew Gaelic, and she suggested Bello Machre because it was Gaelic for home of my heart, and that just captured the imagination of everybody in the room. Because that's what they wanted. You know, at the time, they were just, you either kept your disabled family member at home and then hoped relatives would take care of them when you were no longer here, or you went to Brownsville,
institutionalizing
Henryton.
Yeah.
And so they opened up the original 4 homes here on our campus in Glen Burnie in 1972.
Wow. And when did they decide they needed a guy named Ireland to come deal with the Gaelic name?
The first director they had, a guy by the name of Ray Shipley, who was helped them start Bello Machre, and he was a contractor who not only supervised the construction, but he also helped them get the state and county money. And so he was the initial director. And then in the late 70s, the field became more regulated. And all of a sudden, there were not only county but state regulations, and it wasn't okay just to have a place for people to live. The expectation became to have people have a life full of meaning and opportunity. And so they were looking for somebody. And to be quite honest, I was living in Cleveland, working at a mental health agency for children and adolescents with psychiatric issues. And wanted to get closer to my wife's family in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And we circled a map. We had maps back then.
Right. I vaguely remember what they are.
100 miles around Lancaster. And we would go down to downtown Cleveland every Sunday morning and get the out-of-town newspapers. And the Baltimore Sun, Washington Post, and Philadelphia Inquirer. And they were advertising in the Baltimore Sun, and I applied. And I don't know what they were thinking, but they took me, and here I am 44 years later.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's an amazing story. Well, you've talked about the campus has 4 houses now, and you do work with folks with developmental disabilities. It's a huge issue for somebody, and disabilities are actually, they're very diverse, I guess. There's some that are minor and some that are more major, but that's a huge problem for somebody that has a child with disabilities because very few people outlive their children.
Yep.
And what happens there? And we all know the stories about what happened at Crownsville, and you don't like that. I love that our society has evolved to the point where, anybody that had any kind of disability probably 30 years ago, okay, we need to figure out how to just sort of handle it. And they didn't have the opportunities. They didn't have the opportunities to get out and have, as you mentioned, the meaningful lives, the ability to work, the ability to drive, the ability to, I sit there and I look and I know that John Leopold, when he was county executive, started Disability Awareness Day, and I mean it was a different ability, and I think it's just so wonderful that we have organizations like Bello Machre that are here supporting our neighbors, and that's really who they are.
Yeah, it's amazing, and we serve people who may be on the autism spectrum, who may be intellectually or other developmentally disabled and have other developmental disabilities. And it started with just the 4 homes. We now have close to 50 homes throughout.
Holy
and
sorry, it's almost
throughout Anne Arundel and Carroll County, and every home has 3 or 4 individuals. And we have an old school model that I grew up with when I worked in the mental health field, where we have live-in staff in each of our homes. And then other staff come in and assist them throughout the 24 hours of every day and 7 days a week. Especially in our homes, what we want is more than just a place to live. We want the opportunity for the people we support and the staff and the board member and the volunteers, to everybody to have the opportunity to love and be loved. If we have that at the heart of what we do, we'll provide great support, great service. So that's our goal. And then we also have...
so basic.
It is. And that's, we had perhaps Griff Hall.
Yeah.
Well, Griff is our board chair, and he leads us in strategic planning every couple of years.
Great guy.
And it was at one of those meetings when we sat around this table and said, what's really important? What do we really want for ourselves and the people around us? And it was that simple, the opportunity to love and be loved. And then beyond that, we want opportunity. Well, that's why we started a Meaningful Day program several years ago. We now have employment services. We have in-home supports. And so we have, I think, close to 500 employees now, and serve about 350 or 400 individuals. We also have a really neat program we call the Ray of Hope program. Sometimes people just need a hand up, and it's where we can offer, most of our programs serve adults, 21 and over. And the Ray of Hope program is a pot of funds started by the Hertha and Jesse Adams Foundation. They gave us some money, and then we've added more over the years, where families can come to us for funds to do everything from get a new wheelchair to pay for summer camp to pay for special therapies or respite care. And we have a family can, it's limited to $1,000 a year per family, but sometimes it's just that extra couple bucks to help people get over a hump.
You find in life, just with generally, nobody needs the piles of, and I know we're talking wealth here, but nobody needs the fanciest car. Nobody needs the fanciest house. And usually it's just a little bit. I mean, to use a New Orleans term, a lagniappe, just a little bit extra to make the huge difference. So you mentioned you've got 400 individuals that you serve, and are they all in individual homes?
No, we serve about 200 people in homes, and then the rest are living with their families, and we're providing different services, employment or Meaningful Day, and some are living independently, and we provide support for them in their own homes or apartments.
Sounds very similar. I went to a boarding school for high school, and as you said, you've got somebody that lives in the home with the group. And it sounds very similar to my dorm. We had a dorm master.
Yeah.
When we got in trouble, we wanted to make sure that they didn't hear about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, what does a typical home look like here at Bello Machre?
They are, and we're constantly selling off our smaller, older homes and building new ones. Our new homes, we're about 2/3 of the way there with our new homes are pretty spectacular. I'd love to have the opportunity to take it to one. They're fully wheelchair accessible. They're spectacular homes that would anybody would love to live there. And each person has their own nice-sized bedroom. There's a large common area, the secondary common area. One of the things we discovered in our first homes that we built, we had the large family room, living room kind of thing. And then we realized sometimes people don't want to be sitting with other people. They just want to be by themselves or watch a different TV show. So we keep adding on, and the ramps are hidden. They are on the side of the home. So if you drove by us,
It's not screaming
yes, it doesn't say group.
accessible home or a group living environment.
And the most amazing part about Bello Machre, and the part that I take the greatest pride in, is our staff. I mean, these people, whether they're live-in staff or whether they are working an 8-hour shift, or whether they're helping, whether they're a job coach or helping somebody in their own home, the love that they share, and they don't get a lot of money for it.
Sure.
And the love that they share is all about what those founding families dreamed of. I take so much pride in them. Yep.
I look at any caregiver type of a situation, and both of my parents had passed on, and they both had just some of the most absolute wonderful caregivers at the very end. And it's so unfortunate that we live in a world where, I've got my life and I've got my children and the whole 9 yards, and I can't be there with my mother and father at as much as I possibly would like to. But the caregivers that really care for them in, nursing homes and in community living situations like this, they've got their own disability because they've got like this giant chest with a huge heart in there that, the enlarged heart that they need to do. Because, as you said, I mean, they're not making tons and tons of money. I mean, nobody's buying retirement homes in Tahiti with what they're doing. But boy, they're, they sleep very well at night.
Yeah.
What's a typical day look like in a house?
And I should add, the homes that we're building have in addition to the great space for the people we support, and they also, at the lower or upper level, they have a full 2-bedroom apartment. So we have some of our primary, we call them family living directors, the live-in staff. We have staff who have raised their families there, married couples who have had children. One of those, the kids from many years ago, is now in med school. And she grew up with 4 guys that she knew as uncles who lived in the house, and they were all truly a part of one family. And I've forgotten your question.
Well, no, what is a typical day like in the house? I mean, and I guess a lot of it has to depend on the capabilities of the residents.
Yes. So for some folks, we have some folks who are in wheelchairs, and we have a barrier-free lift in all of these homes that can actually take people from their bed and carry them. It's in the ceiling, and it carries them to the bathroom where they can be placed in a tub or the toilet.
Right.
And so for those, the mornings are a challenging time. We try to have a balance where the needs won't overwhelm the staff, and so a balance of people who need less hand-on-hand care, and they're just like every other home in the morning, getting up, taking a bath or shower, getting ready for work or day program or our meaningful day. And then some people go out to other organizations that provide day services, or then we have tons of folks who go out to Bello Machre Day Services. We have lots of people who are working jobs or doing important volunteer work.
Well, I did see on your website, again, I should say the website is bellomachre.org, but you've got a lot of great partners that work with and I encourage everybody to go there and look at that. Support the people that are supporting this, because this is an organization that's supporting our neighbors. But I mean, I know you've got, Giant Food is in there, the grocery stores, and there were several others. Support these people. I mean, these are the lifeblood of the community.
Yeah.
I think, you keep mentioning that you're building new homes and stuff like this. So, I mean, are these new homes that so you're not going into a neighborhood and finding a house that's for sale?
No, that's what we used to do. And it's really interesting. Many years ago, more than 30 and 40 years ago, when we moved into the community, I would have to go to community association meetings, and people were scared of what was
the boogeyman. Sure.
Yeah. Now we what people have found out is we're pretty darn good neighbors, probably better than a lot of neighbors. I had a friend, a mentor, who told me 3 things you can do if you're moving into a new community to foster community acceptance. Mow your grass on a regular basis. Pick up bring in your garbage cans the same day that the garbage people come, and then don't park your cars in front of anybody's home, even though it's a public street. We are all a little territorial. Park your cars in front of your home and in your driveway. And if you do those 3 things, and we've been fortunate to have great neighbors, people who share meals and bring over their vegetables from their gardens and so forth.
Wow, that's wild, and good advice. I think anybody that lives in a community that has a homeowners association has probably gotten letters for probably at least 2 out of the 3 of them.
Exactly.
Now, you've talked about you serve primarily adults only, 21 and older. So this is, I'm presuming that their traditional family, their birth family, if you will, are 50 and up, or parents are 50 and up. So families, they come in, they visit, they, take them out to do, shopping or?
Yeah, it varies. Some people have very active families who are very involved, and they're really part of the fabric of the home. And other folks, families aren't there or aren't
in the area
or aren't in the area or is no longer living. One of the surprising statistics, the average age of somebody in a Bello Machre home is 57. And people are coming to us. When I came all those years ago, people were coming in at the age of 21 or 22. Now people are in their mid-50s when they're coming to us for residential care, because there are services that we and other organizations provide in-home. So we can keep somebody in their own home with their family much, much longer than we used to be able to do. And so
that's ideal, isn't it?
It is, because that's where most people want to be. So, the most common thing, we encourage families to connect with us as early as possible in the life of their family. The disturbing calls that we get are typically on a Friday afternoon around 4:30. I have a brother or sister with disabilities. My dad passed away a couple of years ago. My mom just fell and broke a hip and has to go to a nursing home. What am I going to do with my brother? And then when that happens, we're not making the best, we're jumping in and helping, but we're not making the best possible decisions, as opposed to a family who gets to know us real well, and then gradually, when they are ready and their family members ready, slides into full residential services.
So do you have an admissions process? With 50 homes and pour a home, okay, everybody can do the math. That's 200. So, that's your capacity as far as residential. But, you can go out and you can assist if, in that case, where the brother with a disability is now living with in the home of the mother that's in a nursing home, and the other, somebody moved in to help out. We
jump in and provide in-home assistance, respite care if they need it. And sometimes people have been really unseen in the community, and so they're new to the whole system. And we are grateful that we're living in a country where our state and federal government support these kinds of services. Maryland is in the top, certainly in the top 10 of states, in the amount of funds that are directed toward people with disabilities. Medicaid gets a bad rap because you hear about Medicaid abuse or fraud. Well, Maryland is an active participant in the Medicaid program. I think the number is roughly for every $1 Maryland spends on services, they get 45 or 50 cents back from the federal Medicaid program. So it's the lifeblood of services for people with disabilities.
Is there a cost to live in a home to the resident or the resident's family?
No, it really is supported by state and federal dollars, and then typically people get supplemental security income or SSDI, and we take a percentage of that.
Sure.
But the real cost is paid by the taxpayers.
So this is not like some retirement communities where they say, okay, we got to cough up $300,000 to get in, and then it's $4,000 a month to deal. That's wonderful.
And we will take people when there are emergencies. We'll jump in and worry about the process and the funds later. It's nice when we're able to think about those things in advance. But if a family has an emergency, call us, and we can jump in and help weave our way through this, what can be a challenging system.
Expand. You talked about let's use a situation with the mother in the nursing home that may not come out of the nursing home, and the brothers and everything else. Could you help to facilitate, like, okay, here's a contractor to modify your house if the brother needed a wheelchair. Here's other services that can come in. Are you sort of like the nucleus to be able to bring that all together?
We're one part of that. So we can coordinate as we'll jump in and if we can't do it, help lead you to people who can and other organizations in the county that can jump in and help.
Now, the county is so rich in organizations that can help in any number of different aspects, whether it's from reentry, from coming back from prison, or whether it's a disability. We're very fortunate, I think, that we are here. You talked about, the funding. So we've got that. I do know that you guys do fundraisers. Okay, you are a nonprofit, and the easiest way to support Bello Machre is to click on that donate button, I'm sure, right on the front page of the website. That's a real easy no-brainer.
We never turn down a donation.
That's true. But you do 2 fundraisers a year, pretty much. You've got the Every Step Counts, which is typically in June, and you do a golf outing too, don't you?
We do at great Queenstown Harbor Lake Golf Links, and Every Step Counts raises this year. Our goal is $235,000, and it's a day that we held at community college, and people come out and walk, ride, or just enjoy the food and festivities.
Right. You don't even want to call it a 5K or anything like
that.
It's
a 0K.
It's a 0K.
One step. Every step counts. So, and we've got live a DJ, and it's a great day to celebrate.
And I know that happens here at 2 locations. That happens here at Anne Arundel Community College, and then up in, you said you also deal in Carroll County, right?
Right.
Why? How did we get into Carroll County from here? I mean, they're not even adjacent.
Yeah. A number of years ago, the state asked us. Some of the organizations were cutting back on their residential services, and the state asked us to jump in. And so we have 4 homes there, hopefully a 5th within a year or so. And then we serve a ton of people in employment services and meaningful day and in-home services as well.
That's great. Do you use volunteers?
Boy, do we ever use them.
You talked about a staff of 500 that are not building rockets and sending them to the moon. They're not a bunch of Elon Musks that are here, but what volunteer opportunities are there for people?
We have anything from people who want the opportunity to interact with those we support in the homes. We just had one of our board members and had his daughter needed some community service hours. So she and her teenage friend made dinners for 2 of our homes and made them and delivered them, then broke bread together. So we get lots of high school students and junior high students needing community service hours. And then we have a ton of just people who are so generous with their time and come us help do administrative tasks. There was a group here yesterday folding T-shirts for Every Step Counts. And we have, you name it. If you've got a skill, we can use you. And if you don't have a skill, we'll teach you one.
That's great. Well, I'll tell you, how did you get involved in the nonprofit world? Well, obviously, I did check you out on LinkedIn, and your LinkedIn profile is very light because you've been here for 40 years, for crying out loud. How did you get involved in the nonprofit world and then certainly the caregiving world?
It really, my interest in the field of developmental disabilities, when I was a teenager, my older brother had gone off to college, and it was just my younger sister and me. My mother had a dream. She grew up in foster homes, and she had a dream to be a foster parent. So our family welcomed our first, my younger foster sister, who had intellectual disabilities, and also had some, she had been in an awful situation and had some serious mental health issues. And before long, my parents decided to adopt Debbie. And then early on in the process, the smart social worker said, we'd like Debbie to have some time with her younger brother and sister, who were 3 and 4 years old. Debbie was 8 when we adopted her, and she had a younger brother and sister also who had intellectual disabilities. So our family, I was a junior in high school, and I was seeing the end of my home life, hopefully, and so they just became a part of the web of our family. And I guess that's my mother's dream. Had, as much as we deny that their influence, had a great impact on me.
I look at my own kids, and I look at my own relationship with my parents, and you dig your heels in, and you're like, no. But darn it all, it does rub off on you somewhere along the way.
So I worked in the mental health field, and then was a chaplain and a counselor and a therapist, and realized that was not my calling. I got into more the administration of the organization I worked at in Ohio, and found out that I discovered how to read a balance sheet and how to what I needed to do to make it grow and add meaning to my life by adding meaning to other people's lives.
Leads me to a question. What's a great day for the CEO of Bello Machre? What makes a great day for you when you come into work?
It's actually when I leave the office, and two things. One, when I go into one of our homes or go where we're providing services or visit an employer of somebody we support, and when I see the relationships that people have, not only with our staff, but with volunteers or with their boss at the car wash, and see just the people we support living the best life. And that, and the other part that I support is when I visit our supporters, our donors, and when I see, I know it might sound hokey, but I see the meaning that their connection with us adds to their lives. And I go, wow, how cool is it to be at part of an organization that does that?
Here's sort of an offshoot of that, but you talk with your donors and your volunteers and the supporters that you have. Are all of them, or what percentage would you guess are part of, we'll say, that the family that does have somebody with disabilities?
I don't know the statistic. Some of our strongest supporters, financial supporters, have family members of Bello Machre. But then there's a whole secondary group of people who know us. They may be the extended family. We have, one of our most generous supporters is a business owner, a very successful business owner, who he played in our golf tournament as the guest of one of our sponsors. Got to know him a little and took him to visit a home, and he got teary-eyed when we were visiting the home, and he was watching the individuals and being introduced to them, and he got teary-eyed, and he's not a teary-eyed kind of guy. And he said, I wish my cousin had a life like this, that he had a cousin who grew up in Florida without services and lived an awful life. She was physically as well as intellectually disabled and lived an awful life. He said, and he became, he's one of our largest, or probably our largest donor, individual donor. And his donation, we talked about a lot, his donation adds meaning to his life. And he sees his cousin and his grandma, who had to care for his cousin, he sees what could have been for them, but is for other people.
And he knows he's preventing it from that life from those here at Bello Machre.
Yeah.
What's a bad day for you?
Bad day is
when you run out of candy in the candy bowl, right?
Yeah. When I get stuck doing paperwork or I'm dealing with a staff who does, more likely it's not me doing the paperwork. It's dealing with people who are frustrated by the bureaucracy. When we see a need, we see somebody who needs services today, and we can't make it happen because the bureaucracy is holding us back in some way. But that comes with the territory.
Fair enough. Anything surprising or that our listeners might be surprised to know about Bello Machre that we haven't talked about? Or pretty much everything we've talked about surprised me. Between 50 homes, 500 employees, 400 individuals that you serve, 200 are in residentials, and the different programs that you have, and just the sheer size of your campus here totally blew my mind.
I think the surprise that people have, especially whether they're volunteering or come to work for us, is that we really do try to find purpose in our work and purpose in each other, and that people really, it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens a lot. People find out they love what they're doing. And it's like, never expected to find meaning. I thought I'd find it in church. I thought I'd find it in my family. I didn't think I'd find it in my daily life or my daily work. This stuff really happens. It's amazing.
This is an amazing organization. And Dr. Robert Ireland, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for inviting me up here. I am going to take you up on your offer to go check out a home sometime. I would love to make some time and figure out when we can make that happen. BelloMachre.org. You want to check it out. It's BelloMachre.org. And there are plenty of ways to help. The easy one is to donate, but participate. Go to the Every Step Counts event in June. Go to the play in the golf tournament. Talk to your employer. Can they hire somebody that is in the program here? Do they have a matching donation program? Can they sponsor, maybe it's Every Step Counts or the golf outing or whatnot. There's plenty of ways to help, but in the end, we've got to remember that we're all neighbors. As big as the world is, as small as Anne Arundel County is, and Carroll County, we are all neighbors. We all have to get together, and we're all just trying to do the best we can. And I mean, you're leading the charge and giving people the life that everybody really deserves. And, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this week's Local Business Spotlight. Please make sure to visit eyeonannapolis.net for all your local news, events, and opinion. And in case you haven't already, please subscribe to the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, where we bring you all the day's local news direct to your phone, tablet, or computer in about 10 minutes. It comes to you at 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday, and you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.